After one of my many head injuries that built up to my TBI, I lost the ability to read and write. Now, I get asked questions about this all the time, so I just thought I would sort of explain my situation. Now, bear with me because it is a little bit complicated. This is really hard to explain. Okay, so essentially when it first happened, I could recognize a letter of the alphabet. Like if you showed me the letter A, I could tell you that was the letter A. If you showed me the letter Y, I could tell you that was the letter Y. But I couldn't process what sounds the letters were supposed to make. It would be very time consuming and painful and tedious, but I could tell you every single letter. Okay, so that's the first point I want to make. In my situation, it was more of a processing problem than anything else, and that's why I've gotten harassed a lot, because I still have a good vocabulary. I never lost my understanding of the English language and grammar and vocabulary. Like, I didn't lose that. I just lost my ability to process the words on a page. I had to relearn how to write my name. Even now, signing my name, it's very difficult. I feel like I'm not reading. I feel like I memorized the lines to a picture. Now, I am reading a lot more now. I went to language and speech therapy for, oh gosh, I don't know how long, but a lot of months. And I really loved it. It was actually, of all physical therapy, occupational therapy, everything, of all the therapies, it was my favorite one. It was, the most needed one as well. My first language and speech therapist that I met during the consultation, I didn't like her that much. Like, she was nice, but she wasn't going to be able to help me at all. She didn't understand. I also learned very differently. I had a lot of learning disabilities growing up, so combine that with having to relearn how to read and write, and you've got yourself a challenge. But she was pregnant, so she was going on maternity leave. So the next week I came back for my first actual language and speech therapy session, and another woman from a rehab center like 2 hours away had transferred to take her place. And she was wonderful. I was with her for a bunch of months, and I made a lot of progress with her. She helped not only with the reading and writing, but also with, and pretty much just everything cognitive that I needed help with. She was amazing. She ended up having to return when my initial therapist came back from maternity leave, so I chose to stop going to therapy. I still continued doing everything on my own. My parents helped a lot, and my mother's an English professor, so I did have a lot of help. I did so much on my own. We stopped going, we didn't stop doing stuff, but we just decided it was a waste of money and kind of a waste of time, because the woman that they had placed me with really wasn't able to help me at all. She couldn't help me regain what I needed. And then, for the most part, I don't remember much of it. For the most part, I relearned the way a child first learns how to read. I started with Hooked on Phonics, the absolute basics. It was depressing in a way, because I'm 21, went to college for 2 years, and then there I was, and I couldn't even read a simple word like cat. Since then, I've made so much progress. The last time I was actually tested, I believe I was at a 5th grade reading level, but I'm pretty sure I'm higher than that now, because I've been practicing and working really hard to get better since then. I haven't been tested for a while, since I've been kind of doing everything on my own. One thing that I love, though, that really made a big difference was my Kindle Paperwhite. I started out, there's a lot of really good children's books, pretty much. Like I said, I started the way a child. Once I got to a point where I was reading real books, not just practicing Hooked on Phonics and all these things, I worked my way up. Now I'm at the point where I'm reading young adult books, mostly on my own. I started off reading book series that I read in the past before my TBI, because, I know the story pretty well, and then when I get stuck, it's easier to work my way through it. And I also use text-to-speech software as well. If it's a book I really want to read, but it's too difficult, then I usually tend to just listen to it on an audiobook. Sometimes I will do a combination of trying to read and follow along as I listen to the audiobook, but I'm doing a lot better on my own now, at least with the young adult books. That's a good level for me. The first book series I started over with was Harry Potter, and I I got pretty far. I got stuck in the middle of the 4th book. That was when, I don't know if like the writing style changed, but it was almost like the difficulty level got higher, and I really just, I couldn't make it through that yet. So then I switched over to Percy Jackson, and I'm currently working on the Maximum Riot series, which I love so much. Like I said, when I read actual full-length books, I often have to combine it with other resources such as the text-to-speech software or the audiobooks. Audiobooks are wonderful. I mean, the hardest thing to explain about my relearning to read and write was that, yes, I did relearn, but I didn't, it was just the physical act of reading and writing. It wasn't my understanding of the English language as a whole. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is they hear like, oh, I can't read or write, and you know, they assume that you don't know how to speak, or you know, things like that. That's not the case. So I have gotten an abundance of accusations for faking that. Not that I would. I mean, like, how would you possibly benefit from pretending to not be able to read and write? I really don't know how you would possibly gain anything from that. But anyway, hopefully this sort of explains everything. I do try to keep up. It's really hard to keep up on social media, especially after this YouTube channel took off. And I feel bad because even with the text-to-speech software, you know, it's tedious, it's time-consuming, it's not easy. You know, you have to be by yourself in a quiet room, either with a headset or headphones or something. And it's hard to be able to reply to everyone. Know that I do read all of your comments. It's not easy to reply to them all. So I'm sorry. Hopefully this sort of explained it a little more. I feel like I didn't do a good job of explaining it. It's one of those things where it's nearly impossible to explain until you experience it yourself. It's not losing everything to do with the language you speak. It's complicated because, you know, I still maintained all of my vocabulary, my understanding of grammar and everything like that. I understood, you know, punctuation. I didn't lose any of that. I just lost the ability to process what sounds the letters make. So I wasn't able to put the letters together to form a word, if that makes any sense. You know, my understanding of everything has gotten much better. The reason I still use audiobooks and the dictation software and text-to-speech software is mainly because it's still, even though I'm understanding, it's still very hard for me. I'm still very slow to process it, even though I can process it. It's just not easy, and focusing on, you know, all these words on a page, everything just mushes together. So I do my best, and I'm definitely much better. I can sign my own paperwork now, I can fill out my own forms now, thankfully, but it's definitely been quite the process. And yeah, so thank you for watching. Have a great day.